I know you're worried about sending the strike team out again after what happened with Reinhardt. But I've been working with them, and I know they're ready. I'm putting Tracer in charge, with Mercy, Winston, and Genji in support. She's grown as a leader since the King's Row mission, and I know you'll agree. Call me back when you get this. And Commander, trust me, they'll get it done. Sojourn out.
I was already hyped for Archives before this teaser dropped, but that mysterious voice shangled my jangles all over again. We were getting not only a new mission to play, but a new character primed for speculation. I wondered at the time if you would get to see her at all, or if she'd continue to be a mystery waiting for a future reveal.
Tracer, status report.
Target in sight, Captain.
We've waited a long time for Maximilian to show his face.
Storm Rising dropped, and I got way more than I expected when it came to Sojourn. She wasn't some entirely new mystery character after all. She was the answer to not one, but two lore questions. Who's this cool lady? Who's that cool lady? Surprise, it's the same cool lady, and she's absolutely burgeoning with multiple story beats. Sojourn excites me, both as an important lore character and a future hero. Naturally, I feel compelled to try and guess her kit.
Combat's all about controlling conflict.
I need no instruction in warfare.
Prefer to let my fists do the talking.
Tiger! Yeah! Rising uppercut!
Yeah!
Perfect.
When I first started thinking about how she'd play, I was at a loss. There were too many possibilities, and I had nothing to narrow my ideas down. Then, I heard this bit of dialogue.
Tell me, when you look at me, do you think there's a machine that looks like Sojourn? Or that's Sojourn?
I took another look at her art while thinking about that quote and noted all the visible cybernetic augmentations on her person. The machine parts really are quite extensive, and her word choice implies that there's more we aren't seeing. Finally, I had my focal point for inspiration. Here's my concept art for Sojourn. I used her recall appearance as a starting point, just like I did with Mirembe. It seems most likely that she'll be a DPS hero, because that's what I'd expect from a medium-sized cyborg military woman. Before you get on my case about too many DPS heroes and Blizzard promised they would make more tanks and healers, keep in mind that their assurance they'd add more non-DPS does not translate to "we're never making DPS ever again, lol." Of course they're going to add tanks and healers. Duh. But we are going to get more DPS too. I've seen plenty of misinformed people claim that the Blizzard devs said they'd only make tanks and healers for the next few years, when they never said that at all. If you rely on a crappy game of fandom telephone to get your Overwatch information, then don't be surprised when you get schmeckledorfed.
Black Canary wins.
Cyber athletics. If Sojourn's anywhere near as much of a cyborg as Genji, it makes sense for her to have a similar passive. This one doesn't include wall climbing, but it does fuse Genji's double jump with Hanzo's leap for a neat combo. Clicking jump once takes you higher than the average jump, but not as high as Baptiste's exo boots. And clicking again while WASDing, or in my case moving the joystick, takes you a few meters in that direction while in the air. Overwatch has many guns, and I don't doubt we'll see more guns in the future with cool designs, but the devs also like to step out of that box sometimes. I too like to think of weapons other than guns, and Sojourn's cyborg physiology should absolutely allow for a clever primary fire. I couldn't help but notice a correlation between weapon tech invented by Overwatch, the organization, and the word pulse. Perhaps Sojourn will continue this pattern, thus pulse rings. She has 5 on each arm, shooting off one at a time and alternating between each hand. The energy ring is the projectile, while the diamond pieces are there as a stabilizer. After she shoots each ring, the diamonds float back down to the bottom of the stack and form a new ring, which serves as the reload. Like Doomfist's hand cannon, the rate of fire is faster than the auto reload time, so you can't just go on autopilot and hold down the trigger forever. Sojourn's alternate fire, Twin Pulse, is a blinding burst of light from 2 rings fired into each other, with the effect of disorienting your opponent if they're within a short-range cone in front of you. It's not a stun or any kind of hard crowd control. Their screen whites out just long enough to be a hindrance, but they can still move. Twin Pulse doesn't inflict damage on its own, but instead serves as a brief window to initiate Sojourn's combo.
Hello, motherfucker.
If you're one of the many flanker DPS mains who fear and loathe Brigida's shield bash, then prepare to be uber triggered, cause I'm about to really bring the pain. Mixed martial arts is a sequence of melee attacks, alternating between Sojourn's hands and feet. Each strike does standard quick melee damage, but the hits are in rapid succession, 1 per 0.4 seconds, and can kill a 200 HP hero in 2.7 seconds if uninterrupted. The enemy is locked in this animation, but so is Sojourn until someone damages her or she uses her disengage move. More on that in a bit. To the uninformed, 2.7 seconds sounds quick, but in a fast-paced Overwatch match, 2.7 seconds is the rough equivalent of a cosmic age. The best time to use it would be on an isolated enemy far from their team. In other words, a flanker in your backline or an enemy you've caught way out of position when you're on the flank. You could use it in a team fight to single out an enemy to focus down, but trying to complete the full animation cycle may prove to be suicidal in that situation. And that's precisely where her disengage move comes into play.
Bye, bitch!
The backflip disengage. With a single click, Sojourn starts backflipping away. Anyone standing too close in front of her takes X damage as she kicks up her legs. The camera switches to third person and you can guide her movement as she backflips. Her maximum travel distance is 50 meters, but you can cancel it early by hitting crouch or melee, which will initiate the X seconds cooldown. I'd like to emphasize that this is, for real, the only way for Sojourn to cancel her mixed martial arts attack. If you're about to dive on someone, make sure backflip disengage isn't on cooldown or you might have a bad time. As demonstrated, my 2 points of inspiration for her moves were Cyborg and former Overwatch member. This ultimate draws entirely from the latter, specifically her status as a former high-ranking Overwatch member. Orbital Ordnance allows Sojourn to call upon a non-derelict weapon satellite still circling the Earth. Let's say no one bothered to retrieve or destroy it after Overwatch was shut down. Another lore possibility is that Sojourn is now a member of the American military and has access to one of their satellites. Either way, she remotely activates it and fires its huge laser that travels a limited path of your choice. The beam isn't very fast as it travels along the ground, but the DPS is very high. But that's scary and OP, you might think. Reserve judgment until you hear the drawbacks. Orbital Ordnance is a channeled ultimate. Ergo, it can be cancelled by enemy crowd control moves. Sojourn also has sharply decreased movement speed while channeling it, and she needs line of sight on the area she's targeting. However, I don't want Sojourn's ult to be another Pharah suicide button, so you can self-cancel if your timing and positioning proves to be, shall we say, less than optimal. Just backflip the heck out of there, fam. But how thick is the beam? A laser that's too skinny would be laughably easy to dodge, especially if it doesn't move all that fast. I think the beam should be, at minimum, wide enough to hit everyone caught in a graviton surge. Well, gang, we've had a lot of fun here today, but I have a feeling that some of you aren't sold on this concept. You may even be itching to tell me how despicable I am for fathoming another mobile DPS hero that's potentially as obnoxious as Genji or Doomfist. And to that, I say...
And it's so easy when you're evil. This is the life you see. The devil tips his hat to me. I do it all because I'm evil.
Squeeze.